When you look poor, everything works against you. Let me start with something uncomfortable. In the modern world, how you appear financially can quietly determine how people treat you. Not because appearance defines your intelligence, not because clothing defines your character, but because human beings interpret signals constantly. Before you speak, before you explain your idea, before anyone knows your true potential, people are already forming conclusions. They observe your posture, your clothing, your grooming, your confidence, your environment, and within seconds, your brain assigns meaning to those signals. Psychologists call this thin slicing, the brain's ability to make rapid judgments based on limited information. This is not always fair, but it is real. And throughout history, influential thinkers understood the power of perception. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that leaders must understand the importance of appearance in maintaining power. He famously observed that everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. In other words, perception shapes reality more often than we would like to admit. Today, we're going to break down 7 reasons why looking financially unstable or careless can quietly make life harder. And more importantly, how understanding these signals can help you position yourself for opportunity instead of resistance. Because this conversation is not about vanity, it's about strategy. Because on this channel, we talk about the strategies most people overlook. Not just how to make money, but how to position yourself so money, opportunity, and influence move toward you. If you want to understand the hidden rules of wealth, psychology, and power that most people discover far too late, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because every week, we break down the ideas that help you think sharper, move smarter, and build real financial leverage. Now let's continue. And if this message resonates with you, comment the words. Signal matters. Let's begin. Number 1, people judge you faster than you think. Human beings are incredibly fast at making judgments. Research from Princeton University found that people often form an opinion about someone's competence within 1/10 of a second. That's faster than a blink. In other words, before you say a single word, the brain has already started building a narrative about who you are. Are you reliable? Are you capable? Are you trustworthy? Or are you careless, unstable, unprepared? Now imagine how that plays out in everyday life. Job interviews, business meetings and networking events, client relationships, even simple social interactions. Your appearance and presence communicate information. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He argued that rulers must carefully manage how they appear to the public because perception often determines authority. He wrote, "A prince must appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, religious, even if he is not." Now, before people misunderstand that quote, Machiavelli wasn't advocating dishonesty. He was describing a strategic truth. People respond to signals more quickly than they evaluate reality. The same dynamic exists in business. Think about entrepreneurs seeking investment. Investors rarely fund someone who appears disorganized, unprepared, or unstable, even if the idea is strong. Because investment is based on confidence in the operator, and confidence often begins with perception. The reality is simple. When you appear careless, people assume you are careless. When you appear disciplined, people assume you are disciplined. Those assumptions influence opportunity, and opportunity compounds over time. Number 2, confidence is interpreted through appearance. Confidence is not just something you feel internally, it's something people observe externally. Body language, eye contact, posture, clothing, tone of voice, all of these communicate confidence. And confidence influences how seriously people take your ideas. Imagine 2 people presenting the same business proposal. One speaks clearly, they are composed, their appearance suggests preparation. The other appears rushed, disorganized, and uncertain. Even if their idea is brilliant, the delivery undermines trust. People trust signals. This is why self-presentation is an investment. Warren Buffett once said something interesting to young professionals. He explained that if he could buy 10% of someone's future earnings, he would invest in the person who demonstrates integrity, energy, and intelligence. But he also emphasizes communication and confidence. Because intelligence alone is not enough. People must believe in your capability, and belief is influenced by what they see. This is why successful individuals often invest in simple habits that reinforce confidence. Good posture, clear communication, intentional clothing choices, strong preparation. None of these require luxury, but they send powerful signals. Signals that say, I take myself seriously. And when you take yourself seriously, others are more likely to do the same. Number 3, opportunities follow status signals. Whether we admit it or not, society responds to status signals. These signals exist everywhere. Your environment, your language, your grooming, your habits, your network. These elements communicate where you stand in the social and professional hierarchy. Now, this does not mean people should chase status symbols, but it does mean we must understand how status signals influence opportunity. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine 2 entrepreneurs pitching the same idea. One arrives well-prepared, professional presentation, clear communication, confident presence. The other arrives late, unprepared, disorganized. Which one inspires confidence? Which one feels like a safer investment? Most people instinctively trust the first individual because competence often looks organized. Elon Musk demonstrates this principle well. When he was building Tesla and SpaceX, he wasn't just selling products, he was selling a vision of the future. Investors needed to believe he was capable of executing that vision. That belief required strong signals of competence, clear thinking, strategic communication, disciplined execution. Status signals don't guarantee success, but they often determine who gets the opportunity to try. And in life, access to opportunity is everything. Number 4, society rewards perceived stability. Human beings are constantly trying to reduce risk. We prefer dealing with people who appear stable, reliable, and consistent. This applies to hiring decisions, business partnerships, client relationships, even friendships. Think about 2 contractors offering the same service. Contractor A arrives on time, clean appearance, organized tools, professional communication. Contractor B arrives late, looks disorganized, appears distracted. Even if their technical ability is identical, most clients will choose contractor A. Why? Because stability reduces perceived risk, and people are naturally risk-averse. Warren Buffett often says, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. Reputation begins with perception, and perception begins with presentation. This does not mean pretending to be wealthy. It means demonstrating discipline and reliability. Your appearance should communicate that you are someone who keeps commitments, handles responsibility, pays attention to details. These signals attract opportunity. Jim Rohn famously said, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day." Presentation is one of those disciplines, not because it makes you better than others, but because it removes unnecessary barriers between you and opportunity. Number 5, your environment shapes your financial identity. Human beings adapt to their environment. The spaces you spend time in influence how you think, what you expect, and what you believe is possible. If you constantly surround yourself with disorder, instability, and scarcity, those conditions slowly become normal. And what feels normal becomes your standard. This is why successful individuals are extremely intentional about their environment. Not necessarily expensive environments, but disciplined environments. Clean workspaces, organized systems, reliable routines. Because order reinforces clarity, and clarity reinforces productivity. Naval Ravikant, the entrepreneur and investor, once said, "Your environment shapes your behavior more than your intentions." Think about that. Many people want financial progress, but their environment constantly signals the opposite: disorganization, neglect, low standards. These signals train the brain to accept mediocrity. Now contrast that with someone who creates a structured environment. Everything has a place. Schedules are respected. Details are handled carefully. Even small actions begin reinforcing a different identity, an identity of discipline. And discipline compounds over time. Elon Musk has often talked about the importance of engineering culture inside his companies. Factories must be precise, systems must be efficient, because environments influence outcomes. Your personal environment works the same way. When you upgrade the structure around you, you upgrade the expectations inside you. Number 6, reputation compounds like money. One of the most powerful forces in the world is reputation. Reputation determines trust. Trust determines opportunity, and opportunity determines wealth. Warren Buffett has emphasized this idea repeatedly. He says reputation is like a fragile asset. It takes decades to build, but it can disappear quickly if people lose confidence in you. Now think about what happens when someone develops a reputation for instability. Late payments, broken commitments, careless behavior, disorganized work. Even if that person has talent, people hesitate to involve them in serious opportunities because uncertainty increases risk. But the opposite is also true. When someone builds a reputation for reliability, people actively seek them out. They get referrals, introductions, opportunities, not because they demanded them, but because their reputation attracts them. Machiavelli understood this dynamic when he wrote about leadership and influence. He argued that leaders must protect their image of strength and competence, because once people lose faith in a leader's capability, their authority collapses. In modern life, the same principle applies. Your personal reputation communicates something powerful. Whether you are someone who handles responsibility well, when your reputation signals discipline and reliability, opportunities start arriving faster, because people prefer working with individuals who make their lives easier, not more complicated. Reputation compounds the same way money compounds. A small advantage repeated consistently over time becomes massive. Number 7, positioning yourself changes how the world responds. At the deepest level, this conversation is not about clothing or appearances or pretending to be something you're not. It's about positioning. Positioning means intentionally placing yourself in situations where opportunity is more likely. Strategic positioning has always been one of the most powerful forces in success. Take Warren Buffett again. He didn't become one of the most successful investors in history by chasing every opportunity. He positioned himself to recognize valuable opportunities when they appeared. He built knowledge. He built relationships. He built credibility. So when the right moment came, he could act decisively. The same principle applies to individuals building careers or businesses. When you position yourself well, the world responds differently. People trust you faster, they listen more carefully, they invite you into better rooms. This doesn't require luxury. It requires intentional presentation, cleanliness, professionalism, preparedness, confidence. Small signals that communicate something powerful. I am someone who takes responsibility seriously. Rohn often explained that success is not about dramatic transformations. It's about small improvements practiced consistently. Improving how you present yourself, improving how you organize your life, improving how you communicate. Each improvement strengthens your positioning, and positioning influences opportunity. Opportunity influences income. Income influences freedom. It all begins with the signals you send. Conclusion: the strategic shift most people ignore. Let's bring everything together. When people appear financially unstable, careless, or disorganized, something subtle begins to happen. The world becomes slightly more resistant. People hesitate. Opportunities move elsewhere. Trust becomes harder to earn, not always consciously, but consistently. That's why understanding perception is powerful. Not because appearance defines your worth, but because signals influence access, and access influences outcomes. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He knew that influence depends not only on strength, but on the appearance of strength. Modern entrepreneurs understand this too. Elon Musk doesn't just build technology, he builds belief in the future. Warren Buffett doesn't just invest money, he invests credibility and trust. Both men understand that perception shapes opportunity. But here is the key point. You don't need luxury to change perception. You need discipline, clean environments, organized systems, intentional presentation, reliable behavior. These are signals anyone can develop. Signals that communicate stability, signals that communicate competence, signals that communicate seriousness. And when those signals become consistent, something interesting happens. The world begins responding differently. People trust you faster, they listen longer, They invite you into better conversations because positioning changes perception, and perception opens doors. So the real question is this: what signals are you sending every day? Do they communicate carelessness or discipline, scarcity or stability, confusion or capability? Because every signal compounds, just like money, just like reputation, just like opportunity. If this video changed how you think about positioning, comment the words signal power. Because success is not just about working harder. It's about removing invisible resistance between you and opportunity. And sometimes the smallest strategic changes create the biggest long-term advantages. I'll see you in the next one.